A boy suddenly wakes up after sleeping for 365 days. He's immediately surrounded by a bunch of strangers. Two young punks even want him to call them brother. Later he slowly realizes he used to be an office worker. After a sudden car accident, his soul enters a 5-year-old boy named Jerry. He's the youngest son of Count and Countess. He's got an older adult brother named Ayat, and twin brothers, who just babble all day. Now as Jerry, he's got a system tag on. The system shows he's got a super frail body, but he can awaken magic when he reaches a certain age. Right now, if his brothers nag him even a little, he'll black out from too much stress. After fainting too many times, Jerry sets his stress sensitivity to the lowest level. Sure enough, he feels way better. But just as he's about to fall asleep, the system suddenly alerts him someone. Before Jerry can react, a young man on horseback rides into the courtyard. It's his older brother, Ayat from the academy. Seeing Jerry finally awake, he pulls him into a hut. The system then tells him he needs to win over his 3 brothers. All tasks are based on their affection levels. Right now, all 3 targets have eating affection. But more people means his brothers show him different kinds of love every day. But this isn't what Jerry, raised with 18 years of traditional values, likes. So Ayat suggests they go to a bookstore to broaden Jerry's knowledge. But Jerry is thrilled to hear he can go out. What he really cares about is getting to see the unusual fairy tale books in this magic world. After reading, Jerry walks onto an unfamiliar street. This magical world feels like stepping into a movie. Suddenly someone drops a mysterious sack as they pass it, but the cloaked figure doesn't notice. But Jerry picks up the sack and runs to the person. They're completely covered up. All he sees are crimson red eyes. They snatch the sack from Jerry's hand and immediately disappear into the crowd. Before he knows it, Jerry's been in this world for 2.5 years. His relationship with Ayat keeps getting better. Even though he's got the mind of a 20-something, he still has to act like a 5-year-old every day. Of course, he's still most interested in magic. He looks forward to his 7th birthday so he can unlock his magic power. After the last outing, the system shows a new target. Jerry figures that person must be a girl. One day Jerry's walking around the garden trying to boost his stamina. He notices the Count talking with a strange man. They're too far away to see his face clearly, but just that profile with beautiful hair and those blood-red eyes make Jerry break out in a cold sweat from a distance. When his father notices, he introduces Jerry to the red-eyed Hills. Before his father finishes, Hills cuts him off. Jerry still greets him with a smile, but inside he's thinking how rude it is to interrupt people. But then Hills immediately apologizes to Jerry. Jerry's totally confused since that was just a thought. Can this red-eyed long-haired guy read minds? A boy with an 18-year-old brain in a year-old body. Because this red-eyed man who can read minds just lightly pats Jerry on the head. Then suddenly he feels completely energized. Then Count father tells him Hills is the court magician. And this weekend he and his twin brothers are going to meet the crown prince. So it's time to go to the palace. When Jerry wakes up, he's comfortably lying in Hills' arms. They talk about magicians. Jerry says he's more interested in magic than Hills himself. Hills immediately says he's not being honest. He looks at Jerry with a mischievous smile. Then he flicks Jerry on the forehead. How can he develop a habit of lying from such a young? He asks if little Jerry is really unhappy with him. Jerry blurts out yes. Then realizes his mouth is out of his control. Of course, this is all Magician Hills is doing. But from now until Jerry's 10, he can only tell the truth and can't lie. Then Jerry's brought before the crown prince. Jerry politely greets the crown prince, but the richly dressed, golden-haired crown prince ignores him. Is he staring at me because he's in love with me? The crown prince asks everyone to introduce what they're good at. The elders all have talents, but when it's Jerry's turn, he suddenly freezes. Facing the crimson questions. Repeated questions. I'm best at fainting. Want me to show you right now? The twin brothers are stunned. The crown prince has never heard anyone say that before, but facing the spell that makes him only tell the truth. Even if the crown prince's affection drops to 0, he can't help it. Then Jerry straight up asks the crown prince his name. Prince Galliang answers him without hesitation. This makes Jerry suspect the cloaked man he met on the street was the crown prince. The next day Jerry's called to the palace alone to keep him company. Of course, Crown Prince Galliang is one of his targets. As he's slowly heading there, he overhears 2 mates talking about the crown prince looking for companions. They mention Jerry. They say he's here to keep the 4th prince in check. Jerry picks up that the 4th prince isn't very welcome in the palace. Before he can think it through, a kitten suddenly jumps out of the bushes and knocks him down. The maids hear the noise and quickly leave. Jerry calls out the kitten named Butterfly. The kitten actually stops running away. It rubs its head against his hand. Suddenly a voice from the bushes says his name isn't Butterfly. A plainly dressed little boy with white hair crawls out. This kitten isn't called Butterfly. He's my brother. Jerry thinks it's not strange for this to happen in a magic world. He even wonders if the white kid might also be a cat. Then the white-haired boy explains it's just a normal cat. He even makes the kitten meow a few times for Jerry. Then Jerry gets a system notification. This white-haired target's affection increased by 1. Then they chat. Jerry's here because he got lost. He was supposed to go to Prince Galliang's palace. The white-haired boy realizes he's his brother's friend, but he can't enter his brother Galliang's palace. He introduces himself as Prince Illyrian. They say hello and goodbye. Jerry then loses consciousness from exhaustion. He collapses to the ground with a boy's soul enters a tiny 5-year-old. Now, he's caught up in the Empire's power struggle. After Jerry says goodbye to a haired boy not knowing he's the 4th prince, he immediately faints from lack of stamina. When he wakes up, he's in the palace. Hills, who's watching over him, asks how he found the palace. Jerry realizes he's fishing for information and just stays quiet. He didn't expect Jerry to already know not to lie, but to avoid questions instead. Soon Crown Prince Galliang walks in. He mentions he got to see Jerry's special fainting skill. Since it's late, he invites Jerry to stay for dinner. After the maids prepare dinner, Jerry thinks the crown prince is kind of like a boss. Shuggy gets up to him. Before he can speak, the crown prince talks first. When he says all the utensils here are made of silver, since the prince is showing off his wealth, Jerry immediately agrees. Wow, it's really silver. That's seriously loaded. But then the crown princess. Silver changes color when the utensils didn't change color, but Jerry's face looks off. He remembers what he heard earlier about keeping the fourth prince in check. Do they suspect the fourth prince would poison someone? The two have a tense conversation. The crown prince seems to warn Jerry not to do anything stupid. But he knows Jerry's special skill is just fainting. He probably won't dare to poison anyone. So Jerry, afraid of saying too much, just stuffs his face. A few days later, Jerry suddenly gets sick. Doctor says it is nothing serious. But the countess is still very worried. Even sheds tears of concern. She hopes he'll recover quickly. Soon Jerry is sent to the palace again. Magician Hills greets him again. Even though Jerry avoids eye contact with Hills, any complicated thoughts he has are read by Hills. Hills picks up Jerry and walks to the training grounds. Suddenly a little white cat jumps out of the bushes. Then the white-haired fourth prince crawls out pitifully. Seeing it's Jerry, he's super excited. Jerry politely greets him. Hills greets the fourth prince but gets no response. The fourth prince just asks Jerry to catch the kitten with him. Treated like he's invisible, Hills can only smile awkwardly. He notices there's a petal stuck on the white-haired boy's head. Jerry asks Hills to put him down. As soon as he lands, the white-haired boy grabs him to catch the kitten, but Jerry just wants to remove the petal from his head. And he already has plans, so he can't play with him. Seeing the white-haired boy look down sadly, they promise to play together next time. The system notifies him that Prince Illyria's affection increased. After saying goodbye to the openly emotional white boy, Hills asks Jerry, confused, how he became friends with the fourth prince. That's when Jerry fully realizes the white-haired boy is the fourth prince. Thinking about the palace power struggles, Jerry's wise eyes fill with fear. After Jerry arrives at the Crown Prince's training ground, since he doesn't know swordplay, but has to stay there, Hills tells him he can snack to pass the time. Soon a full spread of snacks is brought out. Jerry boredly munches on snacks, while watching Prince Galliang practice swordplay, thinking that at such a young age he might be poisoned. And even the fourth prince is caught up in this. Can't help but pity Prince Galliang. But then Jerry suddenly feels dizzy. The system shows his stamina rapidly drop. Magic amplified, toxins in body need to be expelled. Jerry immediately coughs up blood. Prince Galliang totally panics. After Jerry is taken to the bedroom, the fourth prince stands outside the window looking at him with guilt. The doctor says Jerry should be fine now. That moment expelled all the poison from his body. Prince Galliang worries about what poison could make him suffer like that. Hills already sees the magic power surrounding Jerry. Of course, he can read Jerry's thoughts. It's completely because magic power reacts to emotions. But strangely, the magic power around Jerry moves on its own. So Hills suspects today's snacks poisoned Jerry. Right now, he's thinking about the power struggle between the two princes. Prince Galliang called the children of major families to remind them to pick a side. But did they really need to hurt 6 years here? Galliang and Hills discuss today's events. He can't predict if the fourth prince did it, or if it was someone else. Soon Count Lut, who got the news, rushes over. After bringing Jerry home, Jerry soon wakes up, and Prince Galliang's affection skyrockets. This poisoning makes the Count and Countess even more protective. They won't even let him leave until he's fully recovered. One day Jerry's staring out the window. Suddenly several carriages pull up to the gate. Then servants carry in all kinds of gift boxes. They're all cookies and things to help recovery. Jerry can't help but think rich kids are seriously loaded. The servants relay that Jerry should just rest at home for now. Then the gate slowly opens again. It's fourth Prince Illyria. Jerry introduces the fourth prince to Count Father as his friend. Of course, as Jerry's friend, he came specially to keep his promise to play with Jerry. The fourth prince really is an emotional kid. Then Jerry reads a magic fairy tale book to the fourth prince. But the fourth prince seems more interested in Jerry. He asks if Jerry can also use magic. Jerry is only 6. He's too young to use magic. Hearing this, the fourth prince slowly moves closer to Jerry. They just lightly touch heads. The system notifies Jerry his magic skill awakened. Jerry also realizes the fourth prince, just 1 year old, has infused him with magic. Solon Hills rushes over in a panic. He senses the whole room is filled with Jerry's magic power. He knows the fourth prince must have forced a magic baptism on Jerry. You gotta admit, this white-haired fourth prince is something else. He just helped Jerry awaken magic early. Even the great magician Hills is just called an idiot to his face. Even though he's annoyed, he can't do anything about the fourth prince. Jerry was hoping to just chill at home during this time. But the system says he needs to accept Hills as his teacher. If the task fails, he'll be unconscious for a week. Though Jerry is worried, the fourth prince also asks Hills to teach Jerry magic. Before Jerry can think, the system task auto-accepts. Of course, as magician Hills, he already saw the magic power radiating from Jerry. He asks Jerry if he wants him as a teacher. To complete the task, Jerry wants to say yes, but because of his spell that prevents lying, he immediately answers no, not at all. They're both stunned. He can only blame his passive skill of truth.